Can you hear me now? Holy cow. I just talked for 7 minutes because I hadn't turned on my mic. That was me. All right, so going live is fun. I'm not going backwards. Um, so yeah, my bad. uh, she's not a professional YouTuber. She's a professional corporate trainer. Those are two different jobs. But yeah, so after I did the Necrons, which what I just said was I found out they were overpowered after the fact, because I picked them because I wanted to play the Doom sides because they were cool looking. Um, then my husband ended up buying me some more Eldar. Some friends that had Eldar planes, and I play Xenos in Aeronautica, so they looked really cool. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll take some Eldar. So then he ended up actually finding on eBay some of the Eldar planes. So I really am happy with how this came out. But y'all, let me tell you, y'all see those lines? You see those lines? Do you know what it took to get those lines so crisp? Ruining my whole life. That's what it took. I think it took as long for me to paint one of these as it took to paint one of my kill team. And these are relatively simple models. They're not the hardest models to paint, but yeah, I made it as difficult as possible on myself. But I'm very happy with how they turned out. But then I decided I was going to challenge myself. There was another type of plane that was available for the Eldar where the wings moved, and I did a couple of different paint schemes for those. I'm not going to pull all of them out because it's just really two paint schemes. But y'all. This is the little stuff that makes life worth it. Look at this. Look at this. Look. Wait. Oh, don't embarrass me in front of company. Did they get hot and freeze? Okay. Okay. No, they're fine. They're fine. But anywho, yeah. So the wings are here, and then you go, and the wings open. It's the little things. I know it's so goofy. But I saw that. I was like, I gotta have them. And now I do. And I'm pretty happy with these. I kind of went with a sleek metallic, but all my Eldar kind of have the same look on the bottom. This one's more of a golden theme to it. I did these relatively quickly because I just wanted to get them on the board to play with them. Here, and put them back in the box. But now I'm going to have some more Eldar. This is what is this bag called? This is a not sponsored. Feldher. I probably said that wrong. But this bag is designed to carry the Necrons and the Eldar. So that's why I use it. It's a weird shape compared to the rest of mine. But I'm going to set him over here. But I've got these three that a friend of ours brought us. My husband did some 3D printing for him for a game that he plays. And in exchange, he gave the wife some Eldar. Worthy sacrifice. So I started testing out these metallics on those. I'm going to bring the light over here. So I started playing with the Turbo Dork and the Vallejo metallics. And before I started putting them on my main figures, I decided I needed to test them out. And these were 3D prints that were given to me where I got to try. And I'll be honest, I did not get it right at first, but it took me a little bit of finagling to get the colors to show up right. And what I found out from a friend of mine who's a really good painter is that you need to put these on black. So if you want to use this kind of paint, it shows up best on black. And luckily, I'd already planned to base the next bit of my Emperor's Children in black, so that worked out. I haven't decided if these are done yet because I kind of love the way they look, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm seeing now just doing this. This is my first live on YouTube that I probably need to get an overhead light. There's a new light that we're looking at for the painting desk, but we're probably not going to get it until I redecorate this room. That's one of the things I talked about, when it was on mute, nobody could hear me. This is my husband's office that I'm in. That's where our painting desk is. We paint side by side, and since his workshop is almost done, he's going to build us a really nice painting table that doesn't move because he does woodworking I don't. I benefit from woodworking, but I'm not going to do it. But he's going to build us a nice painting desk, and there's stuff in here that's going to end up in the room over there because that's going to end up being our game room. But he really loves D&D, so I'm going to, like I did my office. If you've seen it, I'm going to D&D out this room for him. It's going to look like a whole dungeon. It's going to be great. Best time ever. But I have more. Ugh. So I've got my big box down here. And someone had asked, who made that box? When I say the box, I mean this one, my carrying case. Oh, yeah, he's a big boy. We're going to put him down. I am not in a position to pick that up properly. But that comes from a local creator called Mumford's Makings. He's the one who made it. And he made my magic card boxes as well. I've been trying to find them for the longest time because at High Ground, the shop that we go to the most because it's on our side of town, they actually sell these cases, but they also sell these little magic boxes where you open them up and the cards go woo, they rise out of it. Oh my god, so pretty. And I had a blue one, and I bought my sister-in-law a purple one. I wanted a pink one, and I kept waiting for a pink one to show up. It never did. And then when they did that midsummer market, where they had a whole bunch of local crafters and creators come and just sell their nerdy wares, they were there. And we actually game with them once in a while on Wednesdays. Last week, his wife, she and I sat and painted together this past Wednesday. Had a good time. She was painting for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. I was painting for 30K because that's my life right now. But it was a good time. But finally got connected to them because they were there. And then we figured out we wanted a totally custom job. I picked out the color, and he found a stain that would work. I've got the sign of the Aquila on one side and the Eye of Horus on the other. And my husband's got one that's way over there that I'm not going to go pick up. But I've got the orc symbol on one side and the for orcs on the other. And his is green. It's a little thing. So yeah, Mumford's Makings, if you want to look them up. I'm going to do a short just for them. It's not sponsored. I just think they do good work, and they deserve all of the shout out they can get. But this is the mainness of my armies. And yes, I am going to do some painting, but I'm showing off first. So, I'm learning how to do lives. Come along for the experiment. So I accidentally left one of my Emperor's Children at the shop from my last tournament, but I reclaimed him. So this, as far as army, is what's completed. What's in front of me right now is what I'm working on. We'll get to that in just a second. But let's see here. The first thing I completed was my kill team. Kill team is kind of dead center here, and they are word bearers. And my God, today, are they not? I did the most. I really need another light, don't I? Yeah, I do. I've got another clipped ring light. Oh, wait a minute. This one moves. Can I clip it up top? Can I do that? Hold up. The cord won't stretch that far. Can I clip it there? Well, aren't lives fun? No. I don't know if I'm ever doing this again. Here, I'm going to move these. Luckily, my dog is asleep, so he's not going to run over those. And he's a perfect dog anyway, so he wouldn't anyhow. Okay, clip that there. And then, two. Too bright. Too bright. Will that work? Oh, that might work. Oh, that might do it. Okay, yeah. Woo. Pick this back up. Come here. Live. Can y'all believe she teaches people for a living? All right, so anywho, word bearers came first. So this time last year, I was, oh yeah, that's way better. I was working really, really hard on these. These are from a kill team. So a kill team is one box, 40K, 10 dudes, go play the game. And the kill team was my husband's idea. He was trying to get me to play Warhammer. I have always been into the books, always loved the books. Way into the lore. We'll read anything that comes out of the Black Library. We'll get lost reading the Warhammer wiki. I know they're great, aren't they? But I was like, oh no. I tried playing the game when I was a teenager. I didn't really enjoy it. I was not thrilled to get back into painting. Wasn't. That box back there is mine. Yes, it is. But he was like, well, let's try Kill Team. Kill Team was his idea. That's important to this story. So I was like, okay, we'll try Kill Team because it was only 10 figures. And if I didn't like it, I didn't have to do any more painting. He was like, just give it a chance. Try painting the Kill Team. So I picked out my box. Word bearers are one of my favorite legions, so that's why I went with word bearers first. And I got to painting. You want to know how long it took me to paint these? These 10 dudes? Not just paint and build. I don't mind the painting, but the building is my least favorite part. Everything can't be great. These little jokers took, oh God, I took 3 months to paint them. And I was painting, yeah, Kill Team's what did it. I was also painting my Aeronautica at the same time because I was getting into that. But yeah, I was like, okay, I can paint 10 dudes. I can paint 10 dudes. And I did. It took me forever because I was being real just ridiculous about my painting at the time. Like I was not. I wanted everything to be absolute perfection. So every single panel here, there was no base coating. Mm-mm. The only thing that got airbrushed on these was the primer. And then everything else, I did one panel at a time. And I painted these in pieces. So all the pieces were separated, and then I put them together. He got an upgrade from the Warhammer. My husband bought me the upgrade kit for these models, but he got an upgrade. So he's got a little bony claw and a missile launcher because why not? So, yeah, every single panel by hand. Like if I saw a mistake in the trim, you know how much trim is on Chaos? You want to ruin your day, paint Chaos trim. But so much trim. So these were disassembled as I painted them. And then I put them together, and if there were any mistakes, I went back and corrected them. And it took me 3 good months. I only actually based them about a month and a half ago, meaning I got the bases decorated. I wanted these guys to look like they were walking through the blood of their enemies. I think I achieved that. But they were first. My son is calling me. Hopefully y'all don't hear this conversation. I'll just turn off the mic. 1 second. They were picking up Chick-fil-A and wanted to know if I wanted some. How kind. So, yeah. So, Word Bearers Kill Team came first. Next, my husband had promised he was going to play Kill Team with me. He was building a Kill Team. Guess who only finished their Kill Team about 3 weeks ago? I painted these over a year ago for him. So I could play Kill Team with him. And he just finished his Kill Team because he got that painting ADD. He started projects, paint this, paint this, paint this. It's fine. We're very different. I start projects and finish them. I will have a maximum of 3 projects going at one time to make sure that I like to have a variety to paint in case I get bored with one thing. But yeah, he just now finished his Kill Team. But we've been using them for like 1-page rules and that type of thing. So it's not like I don't use them. And then when I got into that tournament, that I should have only been 500 points and ended up playing the 3,000 point game, they let me use my 40K models because that's what I had. Like I didn't come prepared to play. I'm building a full 3,000 points now, but I was not there for that. So then my first big army, I decided to do Emperor's Children. So my 2 Chaos armies I love are Word Bearers and Emperor's Children for various reasons. Lorgar's not wrong. And Fulgrim's just trying to have a good time. I respect it. And then, my Loyalist Legions that I love, that box right there, the other half of them are these guys, the Pink Party Boys, Emperor's Children. That's their name, the Pink Party Boys. The other half is going to be Salamanders. And then my husband accidentally ordered some Beakies thinking they were something else. Those are going to be an allied detachment of Ultramarines. So those are the 4 legions I love. The other 30K army is going to be primarily Salamanders. I'm not going to build a whole Ultramarine army. However, I will probably be doing an Ultramarine Titan next year. 1 Titan a year. That's my goal. We'll see. I'm just trying to destroy my life. But these guys, I really am proud of. So I recently took a class on wet blending. and learned the theory, it turned out I was doing it by accident. So, Fulgrim pink is canon. But yeah, so I ended up painting these guys primarily pink and purple because purple is like the big Emperor's Children's color. It's purple and gold mostly. But Fulgrim is pink. Fulgrim is fabulous. Fulgrim is out there living his best life, doing the most, and we're into it. But yeah, so we call this army the Pink Party Boys for obvious reasons. And I have Imperialis in my office. That's the itty bitty one. Um, I wanted them to look like they were traipsing through a lake, through water. And I think I achieved that from the top down. I used like a water medium to get the effect that's on here. Some of them look like they've stepped over trees. Here's one. I really like this guy. He looks like he knocked a tree down. That's pretty great. But yeah, since these are the Pink Party Boys, my little Imperialis, half the box is for me, half is for my husband, so we can play together. They're going to be called the Party Favors. I live in ridiculous land. That's just how I am. Now, here's what's fun. Okay, full disclosure. If you're new to Warhammer, I think technically to the game, I'm still considered new because it's been like a year and a couple of months since I started playing the games. It's been 20-something years since I started reading the books, but the game's new. I didn't I didn't follow instructions as well as I could have when I was first building. And when I was at that tournament a few weeks ago, it was pointed out to me that some of my dudes, I put the wrong combination of weapons on. Like this guy has like 2 power hands on him. And that's just look at the little bloody skull. My husband printed me a bunch of skulls to glue stuff. But yeah, uh, didn't know that that couldn't be. Did not read thoroughly enough. And plus it was my first big army that I've ever built. So I made a few mistakes. But that's okay. That's why pencils have erasers. But I mean, I'm not going to undo them now. You know how long it took to do this? Oh my god. And again, when I did this 20 Emperor's Children, I painted them almost as dumb as I did my Word Bearer's Kill Team. So painting these, even though I did it in like 3 weeks, it was like 4 or 5 hours a day because every little panel, every piece was painted separately. That was stupid. But it turned out great. The Terminators, I got a little bit better on. I actually started with these. I actually base coated, so they got based in Fulgrim pink, and then I built up to the shiny purple that they've got now. But then with the Terminators, Fracte Terminators, I love these guys. They got based really well. So I based these guys, I want to say, in black, and then went in with the purples, and I tried more dry brushing and shading on these. So with every project, I try to get a little bit better to learn a new skill. You can't learn every skill with every project. It takes practice and time to get good at this stuff. But yeah, I love that, and I use blood for the blood glod on the claws. I do have a painting medium called Gore. It's stringy. I used him on the Titan. Yeah, just gross. But like, I made a mistake on these. Where is he? This one. So I misread the instructions again. Nope, that's not the one. It was pointed out to me by one of the veteran players. Where is he? Yep, here he is. Nope, that's not the one. I've got one of these I accidentally put a claw and a fist on. Or is it this one? Yep, this is the one. He can't have the claw and the chainsword. I didn't know. But he does now. I just treat him like he's got 2 claws. Either or. But I'm super happy with the purple. So that final wash that's on here is actually this color. It's the Eidolon Air. And I started using these before I knew how you were supposed to use them. I didn't know the air meant airbrush. I thought it just meant airy color. No, it's for this. But it's fine. I didn't use the airbrush on these. I base coated these and primed them with the airbrush, but I did not know that this was specific at the time. I've learned. I've grown since then. But yeah, I'm really proud of how these armies came out. And of course, the final guy, who I still haven't fully based yet because I don't know what I want it to look like, is my Praetor. You've heard of Fabius Bile? Well, this is Fabulous Bill. He is my Praetor, and I am super proud of that axe. This little jerk has so many pieces. Have you ever built a Praetor? Oh my god, you want to ruin your life? Not, we're gonna get to this jerk in a second, but yeah, he is like I got a little lazy at the end on the back. You see that like kind of rising sun out of his cape. It's not as detailed as it could be because I got tired of fooling with this thing. But yeah, so I learned a lot from these figures, and it made me want to get better at techniques that still gave me a good effect without sucking my life away. So I have invested in learning. We took a wet blending class, we took a dry brushing class, and it turned out that I have been wet blending. I just didn't know that it had a name or a or what the real purpose was. I did it by accident, and as somebody who trains, salespeople and executives, one of the things we always teach is if it's not repeatable or scalable, if you can't measure why you were successful, it was an accident. And accidents don't make us money. So yeah, this is everything I've completed so far as like regular old troops and whatnot. So I'm going to slide them back in, and now we're going to bring out my main friend here. Nobody cares about this Spartan tank. It's the ugliest thing I've ever done. It's just a little old Spartan tank. I think I'm going to do better when my Predator tanks get built. But this is big beefy boy. This is big beefy boy. Look, he's facing up. I learned so much building this Titan. Now I know the first thing you're going to say, that looks 3D printed. It is. He is a 3D print. He was printed with the Elegoo. What is it a Saturn or a Mars? I forget which one we have. That I got my husband for Christmas last year. Took him how many? I think it took him 2 months to print this. He's chonky. He big beefy boy. It's apple juice. But no, he big beefy boy, and he's kind of heavy. I'm always joking. Yeah, magnets. Yeah, those are totally magnets. We magnetize all of our bases. He's gonna get magnetized eventually. I just haven't figured out what I want to do to base him. I kind of want to do like a nature-ish, like, well, not nature, like walking through the rubble kind of thing. I started it but couldn't finish it in time for the competition I was in. But yeah, this is the bane of Monarchia. He It took a couple of months to print him, and it took me about a month to paint and build him. This is my first Titan. I have never done one before. This is the biggest project I've ever painted. And I'll be honest, I'm technically not done with him. Move these. You know why? I have not put the gears on him yet. Like, there's pistons and gears that are supposed to be attached back here. She got tired. Now, I have a lot of time off during Christmas and Thanksgiving, so I might get to some of that stuff. I also you like that? Yeah. Thank you. You should have seen me painting bloody chains. That was so gross looking. That's what I use the gore. The gore is what's on here, and I've got gore all over him. I want to take some like ultramarines and stuff, and like, because the ultramarines and the word bear, they're not friends. Even though they're both two of my favorite legions, they don't like each other. What valid? Two things can be true at once. But yeah, so this is the biggest project I've ever done. It's the biggest thing I've ever built. It's the biggest figure I've ever painted. And I'll be honest, he's not even put together perfectly. I did my best. And this particular model of Warhound, we could not find a new box of it. I very much believe in buying the thing. We're not we're not like, oh, I'm anti-establishment. Look, we all know how G Dubs is. Look at my eyeballs. We know. We're not gonna say it, but we know. 750. He's 750 points. Yeah. So he is for a 3,000 point game. And this is the reason I was able to play in that game that I was not qualified to be in. Y'all, I showed up for a 500 point game. I showed up for a skirmish, and I have enough for skirmish, but nobody else signed up for that game at that competition there. So when I got to my opponent and he started pulling all this extra junk out of the boxes, I was like, that seems a lot for 500 points. He was like, it's for 3,000. And I'm looking around. I'm like, Blake, Chris, what the hell? And that's how I found out I was playing 3,000 points. But I had just finished him like 48 hours before that game. like just finished him. And I wasn't bringing him to play. I was bringing him to show off. Can I be honest? Ooh, Ultramarines and Tau. There's an interesting household. How's that work? You know what? My husband's into work. He does orcs. I do Space Marines. He only does orcs. You know. But yeah, perfect timing having him done. And if I hadn't had him, that would have been like the worst time of my life if he didn't exist and I tried to play. But let me get him closer to the camera. Let me move some of my current. This is what I'm currently working on. We'll get to these guys in a second because this is how I'm going to spend my evening today is painting this stuff. But I wanted to test going live. I've never done a live before on YouTube. And you know what I learned? Turn on your Bluetooth microphone. There's always a lesson in everything that you do. Hey, when you're learning lessons, like don't be embarrassed. Like it just is what it is, you know. Nobody knows everything. And if you meet somebody who thinks they know everything, don't be their friend. They're gonna ruin your whole life. Apple juice. I mentioned this earlier, but I got this particular stein in Chiapas, Mexico. I've been down there a bunch. And one year I just decided I was going to be a tourist because I don't usually go down there for tourism. I'm going down there with my Taekwondo team to work with kids. Oh, awesome. Thank you. I'm trying to do this live thing more than once. I appreciate it. So let me scoot him up. Actually, move one more Palatine blade because I don't feel like printing more of those. So here he is, up close and personal. The bane of Monarchia, who arose from the ashes of the perfect city to seek righteous vengeance upon the Ultramarines. I'm like this all day, my poor husband. But yeah, the reason we went with a 3D print is this particular version of Warhound doesn't exist anymore. We tried to find a new one. We actually had a friend who had to go to work in Singapore and he went to a nerd shop and that's where my Eldar came from. He found original boxes that were just hanging out in the back of somebody's shop and they sold them to him for like $20. So we do our best to get original models, but it doesn't always work out. But he printed this for me. The next one that I want, I am going to toss a coin between a Reaver and a Warlord. Yeah, I know. I know. I both of the game shops in our area that we frequent the most, I've seen them. I've seen all those pieces. I have been told by someone who does this professionally that the Warlord, if you work on him for like 8 hours a day, you'll build him in a month. I was like, oh God. Oh, I'm glad you like the channel. Welcome. That's like 8 hours a day. That's a job. I guess that's why people pay for them. But yeah, the 3D print was easier, but I kind of wish I could have had the G-Dubs version of this if we could have found it, only because there are things that one can do as far as articulation that with the 3D print weren't possible. However, my new FDM printer did arrive this week. It's supposed to be a Christmas present for me. I got him a printer last year. He got me one this year. So I might do a reprint of this and do one for each of my legions. So an Ultramarine, a Salamander, this is my word bearer, and an Emperor's Children Warhound. Because it can print in one piece with the FDM. Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, let's take a look at him closely. So he took me, how long did he take me to paint? Because he was all I worked on, probably a solid month of painting and building. And mistakes were made. And can I confess, this is before I truly embraced the airbrush. I did use the airbrush for the base coat, not the base coat, the primer, which he's primed in black. On the panels that are huge, like this has some big areas underneath his chassis. This has some big areas. The shoulder pieces are pretty big. Big wide areas, I did base coat. Yes, I do varnish. Absolutely. Because if you're going to get your hands all over it, yeah, varnish it 100%. I haven't done this one yet because there are some pieces I haven't decided I'm adding yet, all the pistons and gears. This was work. But yeah, so everything was done by hand, one brush stroke at a time. You know what? You live your life the way you want. I can't tell you that was a good use of time. I am very happy with how he turned out. I have not glued these leg pieces on yet. They're being held on with sticky tack at the moment because I haven't decided if I'm doing the pistons, and these will have to come off if I'm going to put the pistons on. So I'm pre-planning there. But like, let me tell y'all how ridiculous this got. You see in here? That is me with an itty bitty like 0.02 brush, one line at a time. Same thing in there. No, no, she didn't do a wash and then dry brush over it. No, no, no. Why? That would make too much sense. One brush stroke at a time. One brush stroke at a time. You know what else you see that chaos players never do? Because we already have 10 yards of trim to paint. Every rivet. You see, look at this. You see all those rivets? You see the rivets? I highlighted every stinking rivet. And then when I was building this jerk, I just wanted to go that extra mile, I guess. And I built him bloody chains to hang from his waist. Not built. I have a jewelry kit that never gets used for jewelry. So now it's Warhammer. It's a Warhammer decorating kit. So I took these and put a rust medium on them, and then bloody goo, and that's what these are. And there's bits of blood goo all over him. Like if you get close to him, like that's blood goo. Blood goo. I know it's gross, isn't it? It's good stuff. Good stuff. The blood goo on his heels because he's stomping on his enemies. Did you know Titans can stomp? I didn't know about the stomp ability when I built this. Built this. Nobody told me about stomp. So when you get close to other Marines, he can go smash. So he's only got 2 guns. This guy though gets 15 dice. 15 dice because it's like a scattery type gun, and this is a twin link plasma cannon, so if I miss I can fire it again. Yeah, but when he's up on you, so if we're actually playing, we'll use this figure. Really? Transformers. We'll do a lot about Transformers next time. I love Transformers so much. So much. Welcome to my weird corner of the internet. But so like if you're this close, if you're you're getting base to base with them, and base to base means everyone in his squad who's in that base too, I can roll to stomp on them like jelly. I know, right? Isn't that great? So Titan Stomp, and the really cool thing about Titans is they are all detachment legions. So I can play this guy with my salamanders because the Titans, as far as the game is concerned, have nothing to do with the legions. They're just there because you have a Titan. So once I get my Sallies finished, he can be my Titan until I build a Titan specific for them. Now the transport doesn't work that way, is what I've learned. Right? Warhammer and Transformers, they go together. All right, mech suits, robots, same thing. I mean, let's be real though. The dreadnoughts and the space marines are barely human and borderline robots with as much as we've done to them. But this is my transport, my Spartan tank that came out of the Heresy box. I painted it neutral, and I did that on purpose because one thing I did learn is that with your transport, he's not transport. He's his own weapon. But if this is moving troops, it can only move the troops of the legion it's assigned to. So if I painted it neutral so that no matter who I'm showing up to play, it can be the transport for. So it can transport my salamanders, it can transport my ultramarines, it can transport word bearers. Doesn't matter. But it's only one legion at a time. You can't have multiple legions pile in there. Didn't know that the first time I used it. I know that now. But yeah, he's not the prettiest thing, and he needs more guns. That'll be the last thing I do getting ready for my next tournament. Next tournament's in January. I say that like it's a sports tournament. I used to compete in Taekwondo, and that's what tournaments used to mean to me. I'm doing Taekwondo. It's not what it means anymore. It means tabletop gaming. It's fine. But we're gonna put him back down. But yeah, Bane of Monarchia here, he saved me. He saved me, and I did not lose miserably. I didn't win. I did not lose as badly as I could have. So it could have been a slaughter. So you know what? Let's talk about it. The Turbo Dork paints. So okay, I can't say that I'm an advice channel because I'm too new to this. First Titan. I see my flaws. I know other people are like, oh, it looks great. I know what I did. I know how wonky he's put together. He should not be looking this way. He should be looking dead at that camera, and he can't because he's aiming like this. Like he's like a cat trying to get on the table. But I'll do better. next time, and gluing them together. I'll figure out a better system. So I'm going to put him back in his sarcophagus. So, get back in there. He big chunky boy. I keep joking that I'm going to go to the thrift store and get a baby carrier for him, like a car seat. Come on. Would that not be hilarious? And every time I say it out loud, I'm like, yeah, go get a car seat for your Titan. Why not? So slide these back in here so they are protected. So the Dorks of Turbo. So that question that was just asked, where is it? This paint. Turbo Dork paint. These are airbrush metallics. So designed to be used with this. This is one of my airbrushes, and this is my portable. You have seen both on my channel if you've watched more than once. These portables are usually designed for makeup. So it's not what I use it for. But this one is an 03 nozzle. So if I need to do fine work, it does really good for that. And it actually does a really good job priming and base coating. But if I need to do itty bitty stuff, that's what it's for. Or if I want to go to the shop and have my airbrush, that one comes with it, stays charged. This is the one I use the most. This one's a Grex. Why did I buy a Grex? Because it was recommended to me by a hobby store. We'll talk about that store on another live. I don't want to mix hobby shops on lives. But yeah, it was recommended. And they said it'd be a good one for a beginner who doesn't know what they're doing. And I'll be honest, I had this thing for like 8-9 months before I actually really started using it. Because I get frustrated. You know, the thing clogs if you don't know what you're doing with it. It's not clogged now. It's perfect. Probably shouldn't have done that. It's just water, though. I always leave a little bit of water in it just in case there was something in the tip. That way nothing gunks up. But you got to clean this thing. It's a little bit of work. And then if you put the wrong kind of paint in here by accident or the paint's too gloppy, you got a whole problem. You got to take the thing apart. And it's just fun. But these are color shifting metallics that are made for an airbrush. Why does that matter? Because you may have noticed I got kind of a metallic theme going. I love the metallic paints. I love the way they look. Oh, you can see these better now. Yeah, I love the way the metallics end up looking. Ooh, twisted nerves. What? You're here? I'm so happy. We got goals. We got goals. Adepticon. We got goals. But yeah, so I love the way the metallics look. I'm all into it. But metallics and airbrushes are not friends. So when I say metallics, I mean like one of these. So this is Liberator Gold. Now, yes, it's a portable mini airbrush just like the one you have, no matter how much. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. When I first got it, we'll come back to that. Let's see here. This one, what brand is this? I don't know. I'll find the link and throw it in at some point. And it's not an Amazon store link. It's just me handing out the link. I thought about I mentioned this at the beginning of the live, when my mic wasn't working, about doing like the Amazon storefront. I'm not going to do that because everyone's tired of being sold to. I'm tired of it. So if this channel ever makes money, it will be AdSense, and that's it. We're just gonna leave it there because, like, I get it. Get your bag. Get your bag. I am not mad at anybody for getting their bag. You know what? Emmy Made in Japan puts out a new shirt. I'm gonna buy it. Charlotte Tilbury makes more petty couture. I'm here for it. But me personally, I'm personally tired of being sold to. So I kind of decided not to do that. But I do leave links to stuff that I buy that I like. This particular airbrush has not given me an issue. I don't know if the one you have is like this one, but this a cheapie. This thing was $20. He would cheap. Grex over here, $179. Yeah, but he's meant to last. These are meant to use 20 times and throw them away. But I've had it for a long time now, and it has been so easy to clean. I did not realize you could clean it the way that you can these, because I didn't think the nozzle or anything came off. It does. The nozzle will come off. The back comes off. You can take out the needle and the tip and everything and clean it. But what I found is if you want it to do the best for you, reach down here and grab something out of my paint box. This is what you need. Come here. You need use airbrush paints if you can in these, because they should be thinned enough anyhow. But you need one of these. Get a filter to filter it. And when we took our airbrush class, they gave a lot of good advice because the guy who taught it knows airbrushing cold. Hey, Chris, if you're out there, but he knows his airbrushing. But put a couple of drops of thinner and a couple of drops of flow improver first. And what that'll do is lube up the needle so that what you're putting in there will flow. And if you end up using paint that's not made for an airbrush, like not just the pot paints from Citadel, but even if like you were to use like a Pro Acryl or an AK or something, there's so many brands of paint out there. We've got, the speed paints, and there's another one here that he likes to use. I will not let anything that isn't Citadel touch my Warhammer. I'm joking, but a little. But that little bit of thinner, but it's the order you put it in. Flow improver first, thinner. Yeah, that's exactly the way you should do it. And then filter it. And if it still looks a little bit too gunky, you can add a couple more drops of thinner. Don't put too much in there because then you won't have paint that'll paint. And then hold your finger over the tip and pull. It'll mix it in the paint pot. So then you've got the thinner mixed in with the paint, and it should spray pretty evenly. What I did realize you have to watch on me, even though they're made for airbrush, these metallics, and they're beautiful, this one especially, it turned out great. I used this one on, where's one I used it on? On these. I started out with a green metallic on these, but I didn't really like it because they're Emperor's Children. I thought the bottle said it was going to shift from like a green to a purple. I didn't see it shifting that much. So I switched to this one, and it's white in the bottle. That is not how it shows up on the figure. It shows up purple. So I ended up switching to that. This paint is clear against this nozzle, so you cannot tell that it's gunking up. And I would clean it out, and like it still wasn't spraying. I was like, what is going on? And then I took the cap off and realized there was a thin film over the hole where the needle comes out of paint that it dried. It dries so stinking quick. I don't know why. It could be the environment. Maybe it's the humidity or lack of in this room. I don't know. But it dried really quick. And then I ended up having to, in the paint pot itself, make sure you unscrew it. And these are Chris's instructions, not mine. Make sure you unscrew it and get in here and scrape it out, because I found out that I had a thin layer of this metallic paint just stuck on the inside. And bits of it were getting down in there, and then that was clogging the needle. It doesn't take much to clog these things. So between every single color, or actually, honestly, between every pot of paint, I will run water through it. So these 2 squirt bottles we got, which also was recommended from the paint class. But after I empty out a paint pot, I'll run water through it, make sure the water sprays out fine before I use it again. This one has isopropyl alcohol in it. Until you are pretty sure you got all the paint out, don't use this, because the alcohol will cause paint to goop up. But if it's paint clear, this will dissolve other particulates that aren't just paint, and then run it water again, and it'll rinse it out completely. But it was little things like that we learned at the airbrush class that made things so much easier. And now I've been airbrushing like a fiend since that class, because I wasn't an airbrusher. I did everything by hand. One drop of paint at a time, trying to ruin my whole life. Yeah, put these back where they go before I lose them. I'm very organized. It's because I'm a trainer. I have to be organized. But here's some results from these. Very different set of paint. So there's this brand I got, and I got the Vallejos. Yeah. Let me open back up, chat. The chat disappears. There it is. No idea about the nozzles or the paint thinner. Some amazing advice with maybe getting a better head for the... Yeah, I would. So my Grex... So this is something else he told me. Okay, this turned into a whole different kind of video, but that's what lives are for, right? But so one of the things he told us is all of these, the new ones, they typically come with O2 nozzles. Oh yeah, you can... Army of your dreams. He told us that night that you can paint a whole army in a week if you get good at this. I was like, prove it. I was like, okay, challenge accepted. But this came with an O2 nozzle. That is really small. And the smaller your needle is, the easier it is to gunk up. So much easier to gunk up. I switched my husband's airbrush. I'm going to slide over. He uses a different Grex than me. He has this one, but he switched to the trigger kind. I don't like this one. I learned how to use this one, but he uses this one. We have quick release on them. Y'all, When nerds get married, oh my god, all we do is enable each other's BS. There is no restraints in this house. But he uses this kind. I bought him this one about a year or so ago as a present. Um, this one came with an '05 needle, and our master airbrush, which is like a super cheap airbrush. I mean, when I say cheap, it's like $40. It's not like it's $10. You want a cheap airbrush? Go get one of these. But um, the master is the one that we typically use for priming because we beat it up. But it has an '05 needle as well. This one had an '02, and I stopped using it because it kept clogging. But I did not know it was an '02 needle because I didn't know anything about airbrushing. And then when I found that out, I went and bought an '05 needle kit, which is up here, but I'm not going to reach for it. It's going to move my light. Now that I have an '05 in here, and I was like, well, if I want to do fine detail work, how am I going to do that with an '05? He said, where is the back piece? Here it is. So this helps control the pressure on the trigger. So you can have less pressure. So just a little bit back is all you can do and release less paint and control the airflow here. And that will help you do the finer detail work. Now, can you do everything with the airbrush? I don't know yet. Maybe, because I feel like he can. He's a really good painter. And he gave me some good advice. He said, get '05. Just use the '05 needle. Call it a day. And then you're less likely to get gunk building up. Because the smaller the needle, there's less space for the paint medium to get through. And even if you use all the liquids and all the thinners and all the airbrush stuff, it's not going to work. It's going to gunk up. And just a couple of changes, putting the flow improver in, using thinner, using paint that was made for an airbrush. And if I wasn't filtering it, use the filter to get it in there, push it through. Yeah, '05 needle. Get you an '05 needle. Make sure it's made for the airbrush you're using. Because if you use one from another brand, there's so many airbrushes out there. Like I cannot put the needle from this one in this one and vice versa. Can't do it. These are not interchangeable parts, but I can interchange between these two because they're both Grex brand. So there are so many. I can't even recommend. I can only recommend what I've used. If I haven't used it, I can't tell you if it's better or worse. I just know that I like this. But I also, because I do martial arts, and, I do a lot of this. This is a comfortable grip for me. This is not a comfortable grip for me. So everyone's different. You do you. That's why there's more than one of a thing on the planet. But I have a little airbrush cradle that sits on the desk where that is. But yeah, they work really well. I did find that the Vallejos are a little bit thinner than the Turbo Dorks. They gave different effects. So you cannot completely, depending on what you based it, that may not be how it turns out. So the other thing that I found out as I began this adventure was that you need to base your models in black if you want to use these airbrush metallics. I mean, the reason they're not as vibrant on my Eldar as I'd like them to be is these came to me already based in Zenithal. Primed in Zenithal, not base. They were primed in gray and Zenithal with white, which there's nothing wrong with that. I didn't know how I was going to paint them. I didn't even own these paints when someone gave me these. But you'll notice they're not as vibrant. They're almost a little blotchy looking. I didn't have the right base under them. This guy, that's my Leviathan. Say hey. His name is darn you, Connor, one of our gaming buddies. But we were just goofing around one night. We named each other's figures. This is this is honored brother Carl. My contemptor is honored brother Craig. And my DeRedio is honored brother Phil. So yeah, black is the best one. I'll use white if I want to get those neons to pop. But yeah, I prime this in black. Now you don't see a lot of the transition because I did come in and give it a spray in this because it's Emperor's Children, so I really needed that to stand out. But I have 2 more dreadnoughts to paint. So I'm just experimenting to see what I like. I'm very happy with how he turned out. I did some little gold detail dry brushing on him. I'm painting his weapons tonight. This guy, building was the worst part, but painting, getting him to this point, it's about 2 hours of work so far. And that's just because I have to wait in between coats to make sure it dries. I painted him so much faster than I've ever been able to paint anything in the past. And then These guys, I did a little bit different than the ones that are based with the kind of green. I based these with, where is it? The Romeo and Juliet color. So these have, or is it the Hotline? I think it's, let me make sure. Yep, nope, it's this one. So these guys got based in the Turbo Dork Romeo and Juliet. So, and that's on top of the black. This took about 3 light sprays to get it to turn out this way. Now, you also see that there is, let me get him closer. You see his helmet has been base coated. The sword's been base coated. These are Palatine blades. The knees have been base coated. I didn't do that with a brush. I did it with the airbrush. I did all that with this one. Yeah. If you can learn the dexterity to use an airbrush, you will be able to do things that literally took. Yeah, it's a game changer. Yeah, I was so shook. Well, because I was like, you know what? I wonder if I can I get the kneecaps? Can I get the elbows? Can I paint his head in pauldrons without using a brush? And I'll be John Brown. That, yeah. So I'm gonna do the next coats tonight, with these. And then the other skill that I've actually started picking up is wet blending. So we took an airbrush class and we took a wet blending class. You've seen this in my community tabs post, but they've had no videos. There is a painting contest that's happening at High Ground Hobbies next year. It's going to be in January, February. I don't know exactly which month, but I'm going to enter my first painting contest. You know, but those are going to be hand painted models. But I also started practicing the skill of wet blending, which I've done that by accident. Hadn't done it on purpose. But I started with this gal. I based her and then got to blending. It is amazing what learning new skills will do for you. So what I've learned, because I didn't understand what a zenithal was for or anything. I'm a trainer. Okay. Look, I teach people for a living. When you are explaining new skills to people, do not speak in acronyms and and industrial speak. Use plain language. Because if somebody doesn't know what it is, and you're like, you need to give it a zenithal. That is that a millennial with an X? What? you know? But once I learned what it meant, let me pull out another figure. A zenithal prime helps you identify the lights and darks. So she is prime. She's another one that I'm trying for the contest. She's primed in black. But now what I did was I set her down, not on our brother Carl here, and decided where the light was coming from. And then I used this ink you don't usually have to thin, ink in my airbrush to spray the light direction on her. So where's the sun coming from? Like literally the way I learned to do it was to put a light over it. That was the advice I got. Put a light over your figure, see where it is, and then start spraying from that angle. So now when I'm painting her, I can see this side of her hair should be lighter. This side of her axe is hidden from the sun, so it should be darker. The back of her is getting more of the sun, so she should be brighter here. And I got that on this figure. The camera's not doing it justice because I'm on my iPad, because my real camera is it lives on top of the desk because it films top down. I have 4 ways to film. We use the one we need for what we're doing. But yeah, I finally started to get that. Like even when you look at her hair, that is wet blending and dry brushing and getting these details on her pants. I haven't started blending on the boots or her skin yet, but this is about 2 hours total work on this figure. I base coated the top and bottom after it was primed. And with the base coat, it was a little darker in some places. It was a little lighter in some places based on where the zenithal was. And then with the wet blending, what you do is you get colors that complement each other to build out those shadows in their natural places. And if you use the zenithal like this, it tells you where the shadows should be. So for her, I decided the light was coming from her side. So on this side of her, whoop, don't break. This side of her, we bought these. These are 3D prints, and my husband buys them from. Ooh, 2 lights. Oh, that's smart. Ah, okay. I've learned something. I'm gonna try that. Couple of lights. Yeah, I see how that would work. I can't wait to redo this room. Um, but the sun, I decided, was coming from here because she's just, she's a warrior girl. She's out there in the sun. And the artist we got the STLs from, because there are people out there who just design things for 3D printers. That's where these guys came from. My husband knows the name of it. I can't remember because he does the printing. Okay, let's be real. She didn't want an FDM printer. She wants what the FDM printer makes. I'm not running the printer. I want the product, even though it's my printer. I don't plan on running it. but this is where the light comes from. So this side of her and the coloring will be lighter. And when you're wet blending, and I've got one or two colors at the same time, I can now drive the lighter color up here and pull the darker color out here. When I first tried it on our test models, I was not getting it that night. I also didn't feel good, so that didn't help. But I tell you what, it made sense this week. And now, because you can see, like, look at her jeans. Like, when you're standing up, no matter which way the light's coming from you, unless you're lit from underneath, like, in between the legs is going to be darker because the sun's not there. So I needed to be in the same color family, but it had to be darker. Or when the sun's shining down on you, the edges of your pants might get light on them, but the part that's out of the sun won't. Yeah. So definitely invest in skills. It's one skill at a time. You're not going to learn every single skill in an instant. There's too much to learn. And I appreciate advice. I mean, as somebody who teaches people for a living, I had to learn how to take feedback. We don't criticize. Constructive criticism is a stupid phrase. You cannot build something up and tear it down in the same breath. Don't do that. What we can do is provide feedback. Feedback is a gift, and we give and receive it with generosity. Can you tell she's a teacher? But with all the advice I've gotten, and I've got a good gaming group, and that's what's made it great for me, especially as a female in the gaming space, is if I was not around great people to game with or to paint with or learn skills with, I may not want to do it as much. And I don't even think that's a gender thing. I think that's a people thing. Hmm. I'm not calling anybody out. I don't throw shade. I don't throw shade. I just plant trees. If you stand under the shade, that's on you. But make an environment where people want to come and learn. Make an environment where people want to come and play the game, to be a part, to want to enjoy what you do. Because then that's how you build a community of people that want to game with you. You can learn skills together, have a good time. Like one of my favorite nights of the week is on Wednesdays. We go up to the shop, and it's a working Wednesday. Everybody comes. It used to be called Brush and Banter, but people come to the shop. They bring what they're working on. You could either be building, painting, researching, whatever it is, and we just sit in a big room with our projects and talk about our projects, and we goof off, and like, it's a good time. Find a good environment. And if there isn't a good environment, well, then make it. Be the good environment. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. Is that how you get copyright strike? That's how it happens, isn't it? I'm too tiny for YouTube to care. There is safety in being small. There's safety in being a small channel because nobody's watching you. But once they get their eyeballs on you, it's like, oh man, gotta behave. Algorithm rules. But yeah, find a good environment. Yeah, if you've got a good place, and then that's where you invite people. Like a lot of my husband's friends, like my diabolical plan since moving here after getting married is to steal all of my husband's friends' wives and girlfriends, and that's how we'll build a local girl squad. But a lot of them won't come to the shops, or if they do, they're not interested in gaming. So one of the things that we do is, for one guy, the girl that he's seeing, he said she would paint, so we printed her something cute to paint. It was this. This is the figure we printed for her, but I liked it so much. My husband printed one for me as well, and she's gonna be one I try for the contest. I think I want her hat to be yellow, maybe. But yeah, to lure him in. And when I discovered Badgers and Burrows, that game is cute. It's a bloodbath. It's like what's that? Watership Down. It's like Watership Down the game, basically. But don't tell people that. It's cute. So like this gateway figures. And plus having another female introduce to the gaming environment might be a little less alarming for some people. So be that person that welcomes people in, and doesn't make people feel stupid if they don't do everything perfect from the word go. Oh, no, that's not what it is. It's Star Trek, not Star Trek. Accents exist. you know but be the person that is welcoming and that people want to come in game. Nobody likes me. Are you likable? Like, look, be you. But at some point, if what you're doing is not in service of your best, it's apple juice. But yeah, so I have a good gaming environment. It makes me want to keep going. I am excited for my next tournament because I will have a proper 3,000 points. It's not taking me forever and a day to get this painting done, especially now that I'm investing in learning how to use an airbrush. I'm painting my competition figures along with these, and the other little project I'm working on are my Blood Bowl figures. Yeah, so that's my 3 projects right now. And once these are done, then I will switch to salamanders and ultramarines and dead zone. Dead zone or drop zone. I keep conflating the two. They are not the same game. The vacuum cleaner just started. You ain't got a Roomba. You can get one at Walmart now. You know that, don't you? They're great. We have so much hardwood. I can't be bothered. So, oh, awesome. Yes. See, they're out there. They are out there. We gotta. Like, I met in the SCA, I met another girl who does 30K, and she also does Emperor's Children. So I was like, and she's an introvert, but I'm like, you're not my best friend. So we don't live in the same city, but we chit chat on the instant messengers and stuff. But yeah, they exist, and everyone's not gonna love tabletop gaming because it, it's wargaming. And sometimes people have feelings about that kind of thing. I understand. I respect your feelings and point of view. Um, but if you like a good fun strategy type game, that's how you present it. Don't present it as wargaming. Present it as strategy. Phrasing is everything. You can say a whole lot more by phrasing it correctly. I just want to point out that messy desk back there is not mine. That is my husband's desk. Okay, all right. My office is pristine, but we are built different, which is fine. Well, I've been on here for over an hour. Oh my goodness! Wow, lives can really just keep going, huh? Especially for someone like me who is literally paid to talk. Um, I can talk for hours and hours. But I got things I want to do, and my grocery delivery order is going to be here in a little bit. Oh, Magic Knight Ray Earth! I love Magic Knight Ray Earth. I think I've watched that series. I've watched the whole thing at least 4 times. I love Ray Earth. So good. It was a good twist on the mech anime because what you thought, what the heroes were there to do and what they were really there to do, it's like, oh. Yep. We're gonna figure out how to do a live together sometime because we got to get these people united in the painting world. But thank y'all for joining me on my little nerdy corner of the internet and my first 7 minutes where I had not turned on my microphone. But I'm going to go super. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, before I go, on Monday nights, our Aeronautica game is actually streamed on Twitch. I'm not in charge of that stream. It's not my stream. But I'm going to see if I can't stream it on YouTube with my own equipment, if they'd be okay with that. But I will at least get the Twitch stream link put onto my IG. I don't think YouTube likes it when you put Twitch on YouTube. So, hey, wife. Fellow girl nerd. Yeah, I don't think YouTube and Twitch like each other. So I'll post that link over there. But I meant to post it this week and I just forgot. I was too busy setting up, and then we were halfway through and I was like, oh, I forgot to post the link to the stream. Whoops. So I'll get better at that. But I'll see if I can't figure out if I can stream from one of my devices so it can be seen on YouTube. But I'll figure that out. That's not your problem. That's my problem. But anywho, I'm gonna paint these guys. I was gonna do some airbrushing on camera. I'm gonna hold off on doing that because I want to make sure I'm not gonna get airbrush particles on this. So my other camera is 2 feet up, 2.5 feet in the air, so it's fine. But when I've had my phone like near, like over here somewhere, Yeah, I've gotten airbrush particles on my phone. So I just thought about that in the moment. I was like, let's figure some stuff out. So I'll figure that out. But this is my first stream. Give me feedback. Let me know how awful or good it was. I'm not shy. I can take it. I got thick skin. I work with salespeople and executives. Are you kidding? But in the meantime, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I pray and hope that next time I go live, I will see you. Now, let's find out if she knows how to end a live. Probably not. What do we do? Oh, the X. I bet it's the X. Yes, cancel stream. Have a great night.